Welcome back, Wise Guys Barbecue fans. It's another week of the podcast that you all love to hear and listen to. So welcome today, a great lifelong friend, John Zienowicz. Say hi, John.
Well, hello out there, barbecue world. Excited to be here.
Nice. John and I go. Go ahead.
I was just going to say that. I was just thinking, as I was sitting here waiting to start, I was thinking, Jesus, it's been 40 years and 5 months we've known each other.
Isn't
and
it
I
crazy?
know that because we went to high school together, and I started in September. So
yeah, but it's got to be more than that because I'm 59. So 40 years ago, I would have been 19. I think we knew each other probably 4 or 5 years before that. But anyways.
45 maybe. Yeah.
Maybe 45. Right. Yeah, for sure. But besides longtime friend.
That's me and math.
Yeah. Damn hockey players.
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Yeah, you're also, John's also our number one Wise Guys Barbecue fan out there. He's a big advocate of the channel, and he does some great promotional work for us. And he is also a fantastic producer. He's worked both privately and publicly in producing, which I'll have him tell you a little bit more about. So, the great thing about John is, he might bring you up on a text after a couple or before a couple, doesn't matter. And, whatever comes through, you can take it to the bank because it's gold. It's absolutely helped me with everything I do here. So, Johnny, I really appreciate all your help you've been passing along. And I hate to say it, but I think you're working yourself into a role here. So watch out. You might get, you might be voluntold to do some other things around here you don't want to do. But thank you very much for all of that.
The story of my life.
Yeah.
Well, you're more than welcome. It's been a long, like I said, 45 years if the math is correct. So anything I do to help out it's easy for me. This is fun. This doesn't work to me. This is fun. Work is something totally different, but I've been doing this for quite a while now. I have, I guess you want to call it a talk show in the town that I work at, where it was a person that I am extremely fond of. That's a brilliant person that deals a lot. She's one of the country's leading experts in domestic violence and intimate partner abuse and programs. She's gone nationally and has been interviewed on NPR and 60 Minutes and things like that. But we always serve on a lot of the same committees, and we're in a very small town out here in Central Mass, and we're always asking, there's a lot of people in the town that are doing a lot of great things. However, in a small town, the word doesn't get out. We don't get the television. We don't get the big NBCs or ABCs that come out. And so when people see us around town, they would say, why isn't somebody doing something about this or that? And we keep trying to say, there's people out there doing it. There's whole agencies. You could just call them and they'll go help you. That kind of. And so we came up with the idea of how do we get this word out? I mean, we're tired of answering the same questions over and over. So we found a great little resource that pretty much everybody's town has, and that's the cable access channel. It's not just for Wayne's World. Right. So awesome. We went down to the studio. We talked to the studio manager, and we just started literally interviewing all these people in and around the town and around the area that provide services to various demographics. And it gives them a chance to come on and just say, hey, this is what we do, and here's how you find us, and here's how we can make your life better.
That's awesome.
And we basically just throw up softballs to them and let them talk.
Is that a weekly thing?
We've been doing that for quite a while.
Is it weekly, John, or is it monthly?
No, it was monthly for a long time.
Yeah.
And then the both of us got really busy, and COVID really, put a damper on that. It was tough to get back. Yeah, it was tough to get back to it. But now it's pretty much just as if something pops up, we meet somebody interesting, somebody new comes to town or whatever. We say, hey, this would be a great topic, and we'll try to arrange the schedules and meet out the studio and get it done.
Gotcha. That's great. And you also you also produce your wife's taken either a sabbatical or retired now from it, but she also had another one. Tell our fans about that, because that was kind of cool. That was a weekly thing, I think.
That was weekly, and that was my wife. Worked in corporate America for 30 years as a business systems analyst, and get tired of cubicle world. And her big hobby and passion is quilting.
Oh, wow.
So we had a day off one year, and she said, she was 2017, because I'll remember that. we just decided to drive from Massachusetts out towards Saratoga, Albany, just screw around, kick around out there. And on the way, of course, every time we try to go somewhere, she says, "Oh, maybe there'll be a quilt shop." And I think, "Oh, that's great. That's what I want to do on my day off. Go walk around a quilt shop." Yeah, if I'd have known that, I would have stayed home. At least I can watch the game, But so as we're driving out, she says, forget it. We won't go there because if I buy something, then I have to find something to match it. And then I have to come all the way back out here because she said it would be so much easier if somebody would bring the quilt shop to me." Yeah. And then she just stopped talking, which you've met my wife. If she stops talking, then something's going on. It's either I'm in trouble or somebody's about to be in trouble. And for the next 4 or 5 hours of the road trip, she didn't say a word. She just took out a big legal pad and just kept writing and writing and writing and writing. And she came up with this whole business plan of how to bring the quilt shop to people.
Oh, wow.
So it turned into about a 5-year, pretty successful business where she was doing mostly online, but she was doing a lot of traveling. She'd go to these quilt shows out in Kentucky or Philadelphia and sell things out there. But for the most part, she had we used to call it Sunday Night Live.
Yeah.
It kind of sucked for me because during football season, it was, Sunday.
It was all that production you were doing.
She found that niche where, a lot of those quilters don't care about football. They'd rather be watching something else.
Doesn't make sense. I mean, Rosie Greer used to knit and, football player. So I figure a lot of football players must quilt.
Right.
Yeah. No, I'm laughing and I'm saying
to do the back end of it.
Yeah. I'm laughing and I'm saying, wow, and ooh, but I know the whole story and it's amazing because I tuned into a few shows and it is so cool because it is a production event. I mean, you got, cameras going on, you got callers coming in, you got, banners at the bottom, you got sales being posted, you got daily specials getting launched. And all this is happening while 200 to 400 people are, piping up questions and coming up with things and your wife is just nailing it, right? She's just picking up on all these questions coming in, commenting back and selling. I mean, you guys had a great, put through on sales on the show, and then I'm sure that would carry over after the show too. So it was ingenious, and I know because of that you press on me a lot to get on live, and yeah, boy, I will be ecstatic the day we get out live and we get going, but I still look at this thing as its infancy. You know what I mean? So I'm not rushing it, but other than that, no, that's cool. So thank you for sharing that.
That's kind of where. Yeah, I'd like to start there. I mean, I watch your shows and you and Diggs, Chip, Charlie, to everybody else out there. Again, I love the banter, but then again, I've known you guys for so long that's what I find hysterical.
Yes.
Just listening to you go at it. But I'm always fascinated with the process. How did you get to that point? What was the decision to start doing this? I know I was driving to Albany and this light bulb went on, and next thing you know, I'm selling quilting supplies. But or answering the same questions at all these committee meetings and having to find a way to get the word out there. So what was it for you? How did all this start? I mean, I know what your business life is, and just to give somebody a quick story about your background, I remember back in 1987 or 88, you were driving somewhere and you were telling me about this new concept of a debit card, and you wouldn't need to carry cash anymore. Everybody's going to have one of these. And I thought you were absolutely nuts. But
boy, if I only knew how to take my own advice, right?
I don't have a single dollar in my pocket anymore because I never carry cash.
Right.
So you were very prescient on that. And so now this is a new venture that I'm thinking, how this is going to be cool. So
it was kind of easy. I think for me, it was, I don't, to know me is to know I love food, and you can tell by my size. And, looking at getting out of my logistics business that I was in for now going on 30 years with my wife, it was the what next kind of, eye-opening experience of what are we going to do? And my wife always has this idea because she knows we make some dynamite barbecue. She's like, let's do a, barbecue catering company. And I'm like, okay, we need a so I'm as you know, the logistics, the other side of it, like what makes sense. So I started with, all right, what do we need? We need commissary, we need this. And she's like, well, we'll do it like once a month. We'll do special friends and favors. And I'm like, you can't do that. If you're going to do it, you got to do it And then it was like, okay, maybe it should be a
Turns into
restaurant. Yeah, well, exactly, because you know what it is. You can't have a commissary and do one a month, right? You gotta
Right.
promote, you gotta advertise. Things going to happen. So, anyways, I started looking at, but every model that was brought to me and I challenged me, I looked at the work that was involved. And as our fans know, I think, watching our competitors cook and some of the restaurants and what they go through, it's amazing the amount of work that's involved owning a restaurant or being in any kind of food service business. And I'm sorry, I don't think I could have ever done it. Two, I am not going to do it rolling around 60 years old. So I just kind of looked like, how can I get involved with barbecue? Because I love it and be around it. And so I started looking online, right? Like anybody else would do.
Yeah.
And going online, other than social media, I noticed that the digital marketing and information for barbecue was just nil. There was just very little. I mean, don't get me wrong, there's tons of things out in Texas, right? So I'm not saying there's none. But if you're in New England or you're east side of Georgia, you're not gonna find much going on in barbecue. So I said, this sucks. I mean, I can do this. I do deal with databases and coding to a certain extent. I said I can write a website and I looked to get, coin a phrase and get something out there. And I came up with ribbqnews.com. And the idea was it's going to be a blog. It's going to be all about barbecue news in Rhode Island, in New England, and nationally eventually. And that just
So is there anything like this going on in Rhode Island at all?
As far as digital marketing, no. I mean, like you have some of the sanctioned competitions have it, like New England Barbecue Society, NEBS, has their website, right? But even their website, it gives you information about competitions that are going on, how to get involved with competitions, but not much about news from the competitions and so forth. And KCBS has one. So other than the sanctioning committees that deal with the actual events, there wasn't anybody doing it just for leisure, right? Just, hey, where do I go? It was supposed to be a three-spoke thing. It was supposed to be news. It was supposed to be competition information, right? And restaurant information. Where can I go eat some good barbecue now? How can I go to a competition? Because it's so goddamn fun and addicting too when you go. So how do I go to a competition if the public's invited, or how do I get involved in competing with one? So that was a separate segment. And then just news, like what's going on with barbecue, with different restaurants, with different trends. Right now, our number one writer, Kristen Picaro, has been digging on Florida. She had Disney Springs. She went to
Disney Springs, yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember the damn name of the restaurant. It was like the Pig's Pit or something. It's on.
Yeah.
Pulled Pig, the Pulled Pig. And,
Sorry, Kristen.
Yeah, and then she went to.
I read it in great detail.
She also went to. She went to the Tampa Bay barbecue contest out there, and it was the first contest she's ever been to. And then doing it in Florida makes it a lot different than going, maybe up in Rentham, Mass in the mud. But regardless, it is a lot of fun. So that's where it started. It says, okay, we're going to do this barbecue news, and I went out to Chip. He was Chip. It's my sounding board for a lot of things, and this was one of them. And he was just like, so what are you going to do? You're going to write articles? And I'm like, yeah, this is what I want to do. I want to ghost these people. I want to learn more. I want to get involved more, and I want to, So he's like, all right. And I said, yeah. And then, I'm thinking a lot of things here, Charlie. Like I'm thinking, barbecue safaris. And I called it something different at the time. He nicknamed safari, but he was like, what are you talking about? And I was like, look, man, this is simple. We're going to get in a plane. We're going to fly around the country. We're going to eat barbecue and drink bourbon. And he's like, okay, I'm in, and I want that in writing. He made me write that down.
Written out.
He's like, I want that in writing, and I want you to sign it. So I said, I'm serious, because the only way we're going to learn, we can learn a lot in New England, no doubt.
Yeah, but you got to get out.
You got to get out, right? You got to get out, and so we went to North Carolina first, and we went to South Carolina. Now we're working on a third one, and this thing's kind of snowball because of course, like anything else, friends and family hear about it, and they're like, "What?" Because I only did it. It was first time was me and Charlie. Second time was me, Charlie, and Tommy the Butcher. Wanted to get him involved with some stuff, and so for coworkers, it was just a carte blanche trip. Come out, enjoy yourself. It's work. It's not really a lot of enjoyment. You fly 5 a.m, you land, you hit 4 restaurants, you go to bed. You're traveling in between. Do it again. Come home. Put on 9 pounds. You can't breathe. You got tons of notes. You got tons of pictures. You got a lot of editing to do, but you'll learn. You'll learn a lot.
Interviews going on too, right?
Exactly. We're trying to do exactly. We're trying to get a filmed interview everywhere we go if people are willing, and you got to dig into all that stuff when you come back. So, and then from there, we wanted to get more of the word out other than the articles, and we were also trying to recruit writers. So we were going through a phase of that, and we did. We got about 4 writers now. Tommy writes, Chip writes, I write, Kristen writes, and Bob Bowman writes for us. So we got 5 writers that are working on the news now. But we could always use more, and we do per diem articles if people want, or you can just do them for if they're self promoting. If you want to get it on there, as long as it's fair to the other competitors, we'll get it on the blog. So this is what was happening. But to get the word out more, we looked into a podcast, and we said, okay, what's that going to be? And Wise Guys Barbecue's podcast was invented from that. And we kind of play on the situation of being Italian, being in Rhode Island, the Wise Guy side. And, of course it's all barbecue. So that's where we are. And, that's how it started. And, so like anything else, things evolve. So we're now, we own the domain bbqnews.com. So we're actually going to go through a rebranding process and drop the Rhode Island, not because of, we're embarrassed to be from Rhode Island, even though I do get a lot of comments from people. What's Rhode Island know about barbecue? It'll be a little more national if it's BBQ News. So that's right. That's where it came from, and it's been a blast. And like anything else, you think you got a 3-pound hammer and a thumbtack, and once you start getting involved with the competitors and the actual folks that's in the society, you realize how massive this is and how complex everybody is, and then how these just to take up one, you go through just the benefits that they collect money for and what they do. It just it's amazing. It's amazing. The people and the complexity of what goes on in these events. And you're talking about a group of people that literally go out, spend 5 days of their week to travel, set up, compete, come home for a competition and spend some good money, not to win a lot of money, just to be part of it and just to have that ability to say, hey, I'm collecting my competition points and I'm moving on. So, learning a lot. And I think, what's now, what we're dealing with, what we're reckoning with now is being kind of motivated by last year's events. We met Kathy Trainer last year, really started us off and hooked us up in Rentham with the Mass in May competition. And Kathy does 2 majors a year. She does that one and she does Cora Kears. And Cora Kears is really, really special. It's up in Hiram, Maine in August. And it's run with the Shriners organization, and Humphrey Spokers is one of the big promoters there. And it's just wonderful because the work they do for the kids is amazing. And, it just tumbled, it just spun our wheels. We met a great person and her daughter in that process, and actually got involved with them raising some money to do this opera for orphans. And it was really fun to stumble into that. But we had no clue. We had no clue going in. Yeah. We're like, hey, this is a competition. And then it's like, wow, look what these people are doing for this, for this organization.
It's amazing, isn't it?
Yeah. Oh, it's off the hook. But So the now is okay.
But I mean, you're finding out kind of the genesis of one of our shows. It was like, we didn't know all this stuff was going on, and
Yep.
because nobody's out there talking about it. The competitors know
Yep.
because they're looking for it and they sign up for it and they want to be part of it. But the general public, especially up here, doesn't know about these things. So, I mean, I'm gonna stick with a football analogy. I mean, we both played up here
Right.
in the Northeast and in Rhode Island in particular, and you don't know football till you go somewhere else.
Yep.
When I spent 2 years in Alabama in grad school, and that's football.
Yeah.
What we thought we were playing and what they're playing is two different things,
Yep.
and and
No, you're
barbecue is a
absolutely right.
very similar track to it. What we think we're doing up here and what the rest of the country is doing is so much different. But I was fascinated to find out in the course of watching your programs that there's some people up here that are doing very well nationally. They're taking it to these other guys from Texas and Oklahoma and everything else. So it's pretty impressive that
Yep.
we do have some quality pit masters up here.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's, I look at the people who've been successful, and I think maybe it's because of the repetition in contests that they get involved with. I think because we're in New England and we have so many close by states and there's so many different events, you have people out there doing 20, 30 weekends a year in events. And that's what you need to dial in your cook, right? You got to be perfect with that. And yeah, no, the community's been
Good
great.
point.
The community's been absolutely amazing. And, I think what you just mentioned about Alabama football is the same kind of I don't want to say struggle, but it's one of the things I ask people all the time that knows or hears about what we do and likes it. I say, help us promote it, because like anything else, if you don't promote what you're doing, nobody knows about it. So to get people to know about it, that's 80% of my job is promoting what we're doing tonight. And there are people that are involved, there are people that like it, and I'm just like, okay, do me a favor, drop it on your page, get it out there, swing it out there, because just, 10 people, you know what it is, 10 people, tell 10 people, tell 10 people. It's next thing you know, it's just amazing. But yeah, so that's the now is for sure doing this in a full scope of a year, knowing what's up, knowing what the competitions are, knowing which ones we want to go to, making our, roadmap to where we're going to be and how we're going to be, hopefully meeting some great competitors at those events so that they're, like wanting to promote with us. Right now, we got a handful of people that are looking to promote the competitions that they're involved with, or the competitions they're promoting. So they come on the show, and that's great. But we want to do that next year. And the other thing that's really been successful for us last year that we really want to take advantage of is cooking. Tommy the Butcher. Again, and Tommy, I'm not introducing him to you, but to our audience.
Yeah, he's crushing it. Those are great shows that he's doing.
Yeah, lifelong friend. He's a butcher for 41
really
years, accomplished butcher. He's going to retire in May. Loves the barbecue, loves to cook. And he stopped me at Kristen's party, birthday party. And he says, look, I saw that podcast you did. What's going on? So I gave him the spiel, and he's like, I want in. So I said, all right, well, you know what? If you want in, come see what we're about. So he came the next safari, and then he cooks. He kills it on the cooks, and now we're re-identifying ourselves. Besides being barbecue news, we need to be barbecue food, right? We got to be cooking. We got to be creating, and we got to be going, because he's killing it with his videos, and he wants to do more of it. And like I said, right now I get him like once a week. After May, I get him like 7 days a week. And that's for sure what we want to be doing, cooking and more cooking for sure.
Well, you still kind of got that three-headed monster that you started off with. It's just evolved a little bit. I mean, now you've got the news, the barbecue news. You get your information, your print media that's going out there, and people are able to contribute to that. You've got the obvious banter on YouTube here that everybody can watch and listen to, and then having that educational piece that Tommy brings, where we were saying before we went on cameras that I'm not good at this stuff, and there were some things that Tommy's done that I've said I've never thought it was that easy, first of all, and I was like, God, these are things that I would only get in a restaurant, because I'm not willing to try it myself, because I don't want to waste the meat.
Right.
especially these days, the cost of it.
Yeah.
So I watch him do it, go slowly through it. I'm like, wow, that makes total sense. I could do that. And so for the casual watcher, it's really neat to see something somebody experienced do it, but keep it at a friendly level where you can just sort of follow along and do it yourself.
Yep. And
so I think
he's
that's
such
a very important part of it. So I think you guys did a good monster there.
Yeah, thank you. I mean, to watch him go through it so methodically, it's amazing. Because first of all, if he's butchering anything, he's almost like Johnny Scissorhands. He doesn't even give it like second thought. He just plows through the butchering part, and it's gorgeous to watch. But then he cooks, and he's very, very methodical. And if you saw the beef Wellington, which was the first time he cooked that beef Wellington, the amount of cooking time really was like 30 minutes, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, it was making the,
shout out to Ellen.
Yeah, Ellen, thank you for bringing that to us. But you know, getting the meat prepped, getting the mushrooms cooked, and getting it wrapped is just all 30 minutes, all in itself. But the time that, you know, even the cook time was 54 minutes. I think he had it in the oven. But what's the killer with that is you have to constantly chill everything. So you make your mushrooms, and then you got to put them aside, put them in the fridge, chill them out a half hour. Then you got to make your, you know, sear all up your meat, put it away, take out your meat, and then you roll everything. So it's constantly, there's like 30-minute interviews in every 10-minute process. So it ended up taking like 3 hours to make that thing. But it was delicious, and it was gorgeous, and it was his first time. And I think anybody could do it. I'm going to do one because both my boys love beef welly, as they call it. But, you know, like the only thing that's different is you get it at a restaurant usually, and it comes out like a spinach pie with meat in it, right? And it's not, but when you make it as a whole roast. I've never
thought of doing it myself.
Yeah, when you make it a whole roast and you cut a slice of it, it's great. So, yeah, Tommy's great. He's got a lot more coming his way as soon as we can line up our schedules. Mine has been a little hectic with the future of what this whole thing's going to be. You know, we got some studios under construction, and it's going to really change the dynamic of what we're doing, both in availability and I think just class of content. So we're getting to the point we're starting to paint. We got painting going on, but we're going to have 3 different studios that we're constructing, that we're going to be working out of, and they'll develop as they develop. And then we have a gorgeous kitchen cooking studio. So that's 4, and then we're going to have an outdoor cooking studio as we get into the warmer weather. So these studios should provide a lot more, you know, class to what we're trying to do, and should provide us with more availability. I mean, I'm looking at having the studios at our beck and call, and having Tommy more available once he gets fully retired after May. You know, we're going to be cooking our ass off. So, yeah, some great stuff coming up. Looking forward to it. Just need to kind of get out the organization and the administration. I got to kind of figure out a little bit, because, you know, we have a terrific editor, Shannon, and everything she does for, you know, both social media and the YouTube videos. Couldn't do any of this without her. So thank you very much, Shannon. But, you know, I need someone to organize the newspaper. The blog, news, the blog. It's basically me, like maybe 8 hours a week, just in the last, you know, gripping throes of Saturday night, Sunday morning before our newsletter goes out. Yeah. And that shouldn't be like that. Like, we should have actual things we want to go and cover, and then we should have those assignments set into writers and go out there, rather than just being a receptacle for all these articles and getting them out there. So want to do some more, you know, organizational work there. So yeah, but it'll get there. I'm sure it's going to get there. It's just, and it's super exciting. I can't tell you how great it is. I don't, you know, this is, you know, you say it's like a 3-headed beast kind of a thing in a good way. It's not anything that or me or anybody's like maintaining. It's stuff that what do I want to do next? You know, it was bad. Yeah. My other business, I used to love getting promotional goods, T-shirts. I used to do T-shirts for football teams, and all kinds of bumper stickers, keychains, and all kinds of water bottles, all that stuff. So I said, I'll do this with Wise Guys. I'll crush it. I feel so bad because if I have somebody on, well, you're not getting shit because you're my friend. But if I had somebody on a show like you, and I wanted to say, hey, here's a bottle of bourbon, here's a couple cigars, here's a T-shirt. I like to do that, but I don't even have the time to follow up with some of these people.
Right.
For those people, I'm sorry. You will be invited to the day one party, but other than that, you ain't getting no T-shirt. But yeah, no, that's it.
Yep.
That's kind of what it is, and what it will be. Dying to get Chip back here. He's a great. I don't want to say character, just person for this, right? Because he's not a cook. He's not a competition cook. He loves eating
like
barbecue.
Me. He's an eater.
Yeah, he's an eater,
right.
and he wants to know. I mean, the great thing is he's super inquisitive. He wants to know everything. Yeah, so need to get him back in the seat over here. That's always a help, just because he and I communicate a lot through text messages. So just those couple of sentences kind of get like I'll be going down a rabbit hole and he'll just pop me out one side. I'm like, oh yeah, and then here we go, start all over again.
Yep.
So
you guys have been good at finishing each other's sentences and all that kind of. It's just there's so much familiarity for half a century of friendship.
Yeah,
and it shows, and it's great. That's the best part. Just listen to you two go at it. Now a lot of it's inside stuff that I was like the whole Chinese food with pliers thing, but those things.
Oh yeah.
I'm laughing like crazy at 2 a.m, waking my wife
you
up.
And you and 3 other people are going to know that. Nobody else. That's why we love. That's why we love putting him out there.
Yeah, but I've really enjoyed watching the evolution. I mean, from the first few episodes where you were very scripted. You were very like, okay, I'm gonna say this, you're gonna say that, and you get the papers in front of you. I'm watching this going, that's not you. That's not you guys. You guys just sit in a room, and it's Abbott and Costello. It's freaking hysterical to listen to. Just pick a barbecue topic and turn that into something funny worth watching. And the other things have really, like you said, the addition of Tommy is really brought a different aspect that I wasn't expecting from this, which I'm sure neither were you, or maybe that's something you had in your head, but it opens up a whole different avenue where it becomes accessible to people like me. That would have never done this stuff. I was just watching because I know you guys. I think it's hysterical. But now all of a sudden I'm like, hey, my wife's getting sick of me saying Tommy the Butcher says you got to do this first and then that, or you got to put it on the side, then you got to put that in it. And she said, well, tell Tommy the Butcher to come here and cook it himself. That kind of stuff.
Tommy knows his stuff, and he won't say it if he hasn't done it. We had this big argument one time, right? Because I want to, as part of the show, I want to get into unboxings, right? I want to do some promotional goods, maybe thermostats, maybe sauces and rubs. I don't know what it is, but I'd like to get through it. And of course, you want to go out, you want to solicit, you want to bring these things in, learn about them, and then report, right? But anyways, I had the Meteor. So you're familiar with the Meteor? The Meteor is it's a thermostat probe, but it's cool. It kind of connects Bluetooth to a little device that connects to your Wi-Fi. So for not very expensive money, you can get up to 4 of them, put them in different meats, put them in the same meat in different spots, put it in your cooker, let them go, and it just gives you some great information all the way back, and read some models, and it's got like I don't want to say AI because people are so taboo about that saying, but it's got some performed cooks in there that kind of matches what your meat's doing against that performed cook to see if you're going too slow and low or too hot and fast. So anyways, with that, I wanted him to promote it, because what's better than Tommy the Butcher promoting the Meteor, right? And he's like, I never use this. And I'm like, I don't care. I just told you I've used it a dozen times. I just told you everything. He goes, no.
He just sticks his finger in it.
Yeah, no, he uses other things, but he would not take my information and put it in his mouth without using it. He's like, I don't feel comfortable talking about it. I haven't used it. Then he goes out and he comes back. He's like, oh, I watched 3 YouTube things on it. I love that thing. I bought one and I used it twice, and now he loves the media. I was like, sure, but when we had you on set, you were like, no, not today.
Right.
So that's what's great about him, because he's not gonna cut corners on things, and that's why we love him. So he has a pot roast that he wants to get out there, and it clicked when because truth be told, when I was starting the Wise Guys Barbecue profile, I was looking for characters, right? So we had chip beef, and it was easy.
Right.
And we had we had a Fredo, and that was easy. We had Frank the Tank. We weren't going to go to like Joe Bag of Donuts or anything, but we were getting there. But then Tommy jumped up, and I was like, "Yeah, Tommy the Butcher." I mean, it was like automatic, and because that's who he is and what he is, and then he was like, when I mentioned it to him, he's like, "Yeah, well, I can do more than just the butchery piece, right?" And I was like, why? And he started telling me about these barbecue cooks that he does for his family, 30, 50, 60 people some years that he cooks down some amazing food for. So I didn't know he was that accomplished with his barbecue and therefore other things. And even though, because he does like, what they cook in the market, right, where he works, it might only be a dozen things, but he does like 3,000 of them a week. So it's a lot of good techniques that he learns in the process. So it's just fun to watch. Yeah, it's fun to watch. Yeah. So we got some good things done. I think we got more good things coming. There you go. Thank you for asking, and thank you for entertaining me in the process.
That's always what I'm fascinated. Like I said, I'm fascinated by the process.
Yeah.
It's fun to watch you guys do what you do and everything else. But where did all that come from? And that's what I want to know.
Yeah, and a lot of it is and I love the competition cookers who come on the show because they definitely bring. They do more of these than me. I only do this one. They do 3 or 4 of them, so they have something to compare to. First of all, I got to say, every single person who's been on this show loves this show. They just love how casual it is. They love how straightforward it is. There's no politics. There's no, string pulling. Even though we have strings on our logo, there's no string pulling going on. So everybody enjoys it. And usually with that becomes an open mind. So we get a lot of good feedback from them and a lot of good ideas. So we definitely are gonna jump on all of them and just need, a little more time. And I don't know what else.
Yeah, I think. Just coming from that first show to where you are now, I think you guys are really starting to figure it out. It's you don't need the script, you don't need to write a question response kind of thing. Is have some bullet points of things that you want to know about this person, and then just let them do the talking and comment. If it goes down a different road, jump in. But it's fun to listen to. That it should be a natural, easy thing, and I think you guys are really figuring that out now, and it's starting to be really entertaining to watch.
Well, thank you very much, and thank you for being here tonight and helping fill in for Chip, even though both you and I could never do that and fill in his shoes. But thank you so much for taking part tonight.
Oh, takes an awful big man to fill in for that.
Yeah. Oh, I'll tell you. Well, no, I'll tell you off the air. But anyway, so. Thanks very much, Johnny. Thank you, folks, for tuning in. Have a great weekend.
Anytime.
Enjoy your weekend, and we'll catch up soon. Thank you.